This is a Sastari cotton 75 mohair 25.
Oh, wow.
And I love this kind of American made from the sheep
American,
all the way through the yarn process they do. And it's US cotton.
It's beautiful. Just
Yeah,
beautiful.
thanks. And it's not that expensive.
Yeah.
It really is something.
Stand up so we can all see it.
Oh, okay. My computer will do
You
it.
have to get in your model pose.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look
I
at that.
love it.
It's awesome.
I gave myself some give,
Yeah.
but this edging, the bind off,
Isn't it wonderful? I know.
I'm a little
This is
dramatic,
real.
forgive me.
That's funny.
I've never done it. I've knit for 30 plus years. And I tell you, you said, Phrancko, it's miserable to take out
Yes.
if you mess up, and yeah, it is. So
Or
the first
even to
time I did
correct
it,
yourself when you get off, when you don't remember which one you were doing now and trying to figure out, well, what have I done?
don't do it on too much coffee. You don't want to pull too tight. Just snug. That's it.
I didn't say it was easy. I said I loved the result.
Yeah, you did. You did say that.
Bind off is it? I haven't got that far.
It's a Kitchener bind off or Italian bind off.
Or
It's invisible bind off.
Or
that's
invisible
sewn.
ribbed bind off. Yes.
I've done it. Yeah.
I looked into one of my old Elizabeth Zimmerman books
Mm-hmm.
that I got back in the 80s, because I recall she did a sewn bind off.
Yes.
It's not this.
There is one called the sewn bind off, and it's
Yeah, she
That's
did
right.
that, but not this.
yeah,
Jenny
Um,
sewn bind off.
You know, and she's the goddess of knitting, right? So
that's right.
It's,
there you go.
well, the grandmother of knitting.
Oh, yeah. And so I was so happy. I made my first commitment after I finished my Phrancko sweater. I enrolled in the Master's Knitter program finally.
Good for you.
Wonderful.
Congratulations.
Wonderful.
Good
Hey,
for
if you
you.
have any question along the way, I'm here to help.
Yeah.
I'm glad to help.
Well, thanks. I got it all outlined and laid out, and going to be doing my blocking report and have my resources that I want to use. I was hoping I could use Zimmerman. She doesn't mention blocking
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
as whatever.
When she likes to knit, she didn't like to purl too much.
Yeah, no, well, and she loved washing her sweater. She says washing a sweater is as satisfying as washing a baby.
Yes.
Oh.
But she wasn't a blocker. Kind of funny.
Huh.
I thought she would have been.
Me too.
Yeah.
Strange. Yeah, I'm surprised.
So enough from me. I'm just so thrilled. I got very sick over the past 3 weeks. I finished this like 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
But I'm doing good, and
COVID or something else?
a hereditary thing.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's okay. Doing good.
Yep.
Good.
On the mend.
Glad you're back and on top of
Thanks.
it. Do you by any
Frank?
chance go to the men's knitting retreats?
I haven't.
Because you said you were in the men's group on Facebook, and anyway, I have been to one and I absolutely loved it, and I'm gonna go to another one in September.
I would do it. I would like to finally get to Paris for my wedding that I had 2 years ago. You know, I'm a newlywed, coming up on my second anniversary,
Congratulations.
and COVID happened.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're looking at our 49th, so
Oh,
you got a
geez.
way to go.
Yeah, a little bit. And Paris is still struggling a lot with COVID, and they don't have enough vaccine, and now the Delta variant. And so it looks like Paris won't be till next year.
Yeah.
My husband went to Paris last week,
Oh,
Yeah.
and it was fine. He didn't have to get tested before he left, they let him in without a test because he's vaccinated. However, we found out after he was there that he had to have a COVID test to get back in the US.
Oh, I see.
In
No
the end, it
tourist or
wasn't
work?
much of a problem because the hotel he was staying in was a high-end hotel, which said, "Oh, we can do that in your room. We'll just book it." They scheduled it. Somebody came to the
Oh,
room,
wow.
gave him the test,
Wow.
printed out the results, and brought it back the next day. But if I hadn't discovered that about 4 days before the end, we wouldn't have been able to get him home.
Oh, yeah, wow.
They
Now, is it work or pleasure?
Oh, it was just pleasure. He just went for fun with a friend.
Oh, okay.
We were
Yeah,
going
because I have
to
friends there and they're still saying it's pretty tough. So,
we were going to Paris in 3 days before. It was Suzanne. It was a group of us.
Is
Um,
it Jackie talking? I can't.
It's Jackie,
It is joking.
yes.
There you are.
But anyway, 3 days before we were supposed to leave, they closed France. So we
oh,
didn't
wow.
know. So we're waiting.
We scheduled a river cruise from along the Danube for last November. So obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah, that.
And it got put off until April, and that didn't happen. So now it's scheduled for late September, and we are fully booked and hoping it happens. And we are not going to go if there's it's Germany, Austria, and Hungary. It ends
Oh,
in
wonderful.
Budapest. And so we're not going to go if they won't
What
let us
line
out.
is it? What ship line?
AMA Waterways.
Oh, yeah, I don't.
Nice. Yeah, I think if I would be willing to go to November, I could go in November and not have any problem, or even September, but I don't. I want springtime in Paris. I'm sorry.
Yes, you should do that.
Make sure you book it so you can go to see the Monet Museum, because they close in the winter. Just-
Yeah, and I want to see the Louvre and Versailles. So,
Versailles is something else.
Yeah, the last time we were there, we took a day trip to Versailles.
Yeah.
did you take a train?
No, we hired a tour guide who took us.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
was thinking, because I don't want to drive, but I was thinking taking a train.
But it's only like an hour from Paris, I think. Maybe a little more,
Yeah.
not too
There are all
far.
kinds of tours you can sign up for. And I highly recommend it because they teach you so many things you wouldn't know just walking through the rooms.
Mm-hmm.
At least that was my experience.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
See, you learn all sorts of advice from me, not just about knitting.
Who knew?
Well, let me say hello to everyone.
Hi,
Hello,
Frank.
Jackie.
Frank.
Hello,
Hi,
Rana.
Frank.
Hello, Sidra. Hi, Kay. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Mary. Hello, Ron. Hello, Demetria.
I've got your algorithm pretty well integrated.
You're kidding.
No, I just have one little thing to do because I decided I wanted to be able to change patterns or whatnot in the middle. So in the middle of the sleeve cap, say,
Mhm.
and now I'm not with a normal sweater. You know, you can change the pattern as many times as you want, wherever you want. But on this sweater, I'm saying, well, okay, only one time can you change a pattern on the sleeve cap per area. You know how you break down all the areas into
Mhm. Yes.
3 different, well, really 5 different parts. And so, you know, I'm not.
And then
I'm
there's
not
the diagonal part.
Yeah, yeah, and all of that. And but yeah, it looks really good. And I'm making I made a sample of the cap with your thing, your instructions that I got from your site.
Uh-huh.
And tomorrow I'll make another cap to compare with.
Everyone should find, let's tell everybody what we're talking about.
Oh,
Kathy has
yeah.
developed a website called knitwiz.com.
Yeah.
And she does far more shaping and far more design elements and considerations than Phrancko.com. And so she and I met at Stitches West right before the pandemic locked us
Pre-COVID.
in. And she would like to incorporate the Phrancko sweater option into her website, and that's so we've been working together to see if we can make that happen. So
Yeah, yeah. And Frank will get, part of the proceeds when you purchase your project. Part of it goes to him, and most of it goes to whoever's designing it. Well, it depends on whether you're purchasing a pattern or you're doing your own design.
Is it going to be similar to what Frank's format is?
It is actually pretty similar, and I kept some of the instructions the way they're written, the way the rest of the site is written,
Mhm.
and some of the instructions I added in the way Frank wrote it.
Okay.
So I kind of did a combination, but yeah, it's pretty similar as far as, do this, then this, then this, then this, then this. Yep.
Good.
So, but it's just, I wanted to be able to add the shaping along the sides and change patterns. And then of course, because KnitWiz uses like a visual design tool, then you can change your neck. If you're doing a V-neck, you change it to whatever you want. And so, yeah, working in all of those little things.
It's knit.
But yeah, I'm very happy. It's almost finished, and I just have to test it.
So it's KnitWiz, W-I-Z.
WIZ.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll
Yeah.
look.
So I'll announce it when I actually have it up, but I'm hoping that'll be next week, except next week I might not be here. I've got a birthday party for my daughter. So
That's
either
more.
next week or the week after, we'll see.
So Sumner, I see your hand is up.
It is. So I had a question, Kathy, because I looked over your website, and obviously I've done the Phrancko sweater.
Yeah.
So would that mean if I wanted to put like a basic cable throughout the sweater, I'd be able to go to your site, get the Phrancko sweater, and overlay a basic cable, and I'd shoot out a Phrancko pattern with the cable?
Yep. Mhm.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay, there you go. I guess that clarified it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically the only top-down set-in sleeve sweater that you'll do is a Phrancko top-down sleeve sweater. So top-down set-in sleeve. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
You can do a cardigan also.
Yeah, yeah. Now, right now I'll do and right now I'm just doing the crew neck and the V-neck and the pullover and the cardigan. And then later on I'll do the Henley.
Yeah. I'm doing the cardigan with Phrancko's Henley. So I just am, continuing with the Henley.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Who's
Oh
that?
yeah, right.
Who's
That-
that?
That makes sense.
Oh, it's Jackie again. I see.
So Jackie,
Yes.
okay, so when you're doing, because I'm doing the Henley also as a cardigan, so when it comes to working the placket, you just don't work the placket, right?
Right. You just continue as if it were the placket all the way down.
Okay,
then-
well,
Yeah.
not there.
I'm
Okay.
doing.
Oh, I'm not
hi,
there.
everyone.
Do you want much before they get?
I'm doing a V-neck cardigan.
Where are you, Ron?
Hi, Ron.
Hi,
There
Ron.
you are. Hi, Ron.
I don't know. I'm in the middle of a row, but let's see if I can see it.
Did you use
I-
the tab front?
I've just done the V-neck
Oh,
and
okay.
not joined it.
Oh, okay. That's pretty.
And then I'll put on a shawl collar, and this is actually the outside of the jacket. The right side will be the pearl rose.
Oh.
It's all in reverse stockinette.
It is beautiful. Wow.
It's also
You know, that really means there's 3 different options of doing a cardigan with a Phrancko sweater pattern from
Yeah.
Phrancko.com. you simply, you can do the Henley and just not close the bottom, and
Right.
and there's room for a button band that is created by the Henley pattern. Or you can do a crew neck and just not close the front and continue doing flat all the way down. Or you can do the same thing with the V-neck, just don't close the front.
Yeah.
And
Easy as
keep doing
pie.
it flat all the way down. And that's how you can create a cardigan
Mhm.
using my pattern, even though I've never, I thought about, so many people have asked, well, can't you do a cardigan? And I suggested, well, you could create a sweater and then steek it. And then I thought, well, I might as well put the pattern up, but it will complicate my website even more. And I'm just
Yeah.
still struggling with how to keep it as simple as possible for people to use.
Cindy,
Yeah.
I want you to say goodbye to your yarn.
Oh.
It's on its way, Cindy. And
Ron, thank you.
I'm
What is
actually,
that?
I'm gonna send an extra as well, because I don't know about the estimates because of the extra length. And I haven't
Okay.
tested it, so I'm just
All right.
sending an extra one
Great.
along with
Oh,
the bonus.
thank you, Ron. Thank you. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited to be doing the little test sweater because, well, Ron's did a design with the Phrancko sweater. That's a little child's sweater, little tunic design with lace and everything. It's an intermediate design. I can't believe he thinks I can do an intermediate pattern.
Craft Yarn Council actually calls anything knit in the round intermediate. That's one of their
You're
rules.
kidding.
It requires knitting
Oh,
in the
'cause-
round. They say it's
Because I
intermediate.
think knitting in the round is easy because you don't have to purl. You just go
I
around.
think so too, but I don't make their rules. You'll do great.
So Cindy, are you going to do the pattern that Ron showed us with that lace?
Yes,
top?
I'm gonna do the test knitting with the lace. It's
I
really
thought that was
cute.
So cute.
Yeah, he just sent it to me a little before lunchtime.
That'll be fun.
So,
Yeah.
and the yarn is that, is it Jody Lind? Is
Jody
that what it
Long.
is? Jody Long,
This is the
Coastline.
That's cute.
She got it.
And it's a cotton linen blend. So
Oh, that'll be
it'll be
nice.
very fun. It'll be fun for the youngest granddaughter.
Beautiful yarn.
So I'm glad that we got that off. And so I've got this waiting here. It's going to go off to you now.
Thank you.
Where else can you meet the dyer that you are?
Well, in this
yarn
case,
from?
it's someone else's yarn.
Oh, you didn't dye it.
I didn't
Not
dye
this
I
one.
see. Well, then where do you meet the local yarn store shop? Not in your town.
Yeah.
You know, the communities build, don't they?
They
Um,
do.
Which is fun. And I know she's got the test knitting mojo, and the
She does. You know, she test knitted both the Henley and
Yeah.
the V-neck of my.
that's what you were telling me. So it's just like
Wow.
she should have all that down pat, and then can tell me if I've gone wrong with the lace charts or something.
What am I doing here? Okay, got something different here.
Which sweater is that you're wearing, Frank?
This is the one I call the ultra wide mock cable.
Oh, right.
Oh.
Let me
wow.
spotlight so
Yeah.
it can show in the big screen.
That's beautiful.
See?
Wow.
That's what I
Very
call it, a mock cable. It's not actually cabled, it's traveling stitches that are arranged to look like a cable pattern.
Beautiful.
I think when we met, you were wearing a pullover with like a caduceus knit into it.
Oh, yes.
Is
That
that a
was the
Phrancko?
first sweater I ever published. And unfortunately, it was bottom up. And I
Ah.
was experimenting with how to do the set-in sleeves. And I'm not happy with how they were actually done. I love that sweater. I knitted it twice, and my husband, who's a physician, loves it and he wears it all the time.
And you snatched it for stitches.
I wish I made it for him because he's a physician. It has the caduceus on the front and then two cables that simulate the DNA strand. And maybe I should go get it if I'm going to talk about it. But
It's beautiful.
Show it off.
the problem is I designed the caduceus pattern to be knitted from the bottom up. And I'm not sure it would work to just turn it upside down and knit it in the opposite direction. You know, I would have to rewrite the pattern and then test it a few times. And I just haven't taken time to do all that.
I had wondered for a while if that was built on a Phrancko, and just every time I saw your face, I forgot that I ever wondered that.
No, it was the first sweater I published. I was just beginning to experiment with how to do this kind of a construction, and I did it bottom up, and I used short rows over the shoulder when I began to approach it, and then had to do extra. Closing the top was really difficult. And then I took a workshop from J.C. Breyer, who taught me the Barbara Walker method of knitting from the top down, and it solved several of the problems I was having doing it from the bottom up. And that's why the Phrancko sweater is knit from the top down, because I modified the Barbara Walker approach to simply add the increases that are calculated specifically to create the bell-shaped curve of the cap. So that's the history. Let me go and find that sweater and I will show it to you.
So Ron, the sample sweater for the baby that you did, where am I finding that? Because I have a brand new baby in my life.
So it's the pattern that I have starts at 2T. So you don't need it until 2 years from now, maybe 18 months.
2T, it's 2 years old?
Yeah, for a 2-year-old is where it starts. The
Okay.
Phrancko, algorithm just didn't want to work at infant sizes at the gauge I was using. So that's where it started. But if you're interested and you would like to see a copy of the test knit sample, I would be happy to send it along to you.
I would love that because her sister is 2.
Oh, great. Yeah,
Now I've knit a lot for her sister already,
sure.
and eventually they're gonna get a like matching little knee sets from the
Right.
uncle, right?
And if they're 2 now, yeah, the final pattern is drafted for a 2T through a 6T. So
Okay,
so
so I'll do like a 3T and that'll,
quite a big
make it-
range, but we had to take the infant sizes out just because they were going to be too much work because the techniques you had to use for like the 12-month size were much different than everything else.
and before that, they're like little potatoes.
Yeah.
That is, they're just a whole different shape than anything else.
Yeah.
That's why we love them.
The head through, by the time it's a hole big enough for the
Oh,
head.
yeah. The
Yeah.
head is huge.
Yeah.
It snaps
Which I
on the
would do.
sleeves, on the shoulders.
Yeah, and just like a 1/4 of an inch before the sleeve cap. I will put my email in the chat and send me an email to remind me. And really it goes for anyone as like a bonus for the group. If you happen to want to knit something toddler size and do a Phrancko, I'm sort of testing this pattern out right now. Cindy's already doing that before me, but I can just send you a copy to look at with no, like, I would expect you to make it, but if you just want to look at it,
Yeah,
I'll send it to anyone.
that's great. Yeah, I just enrolled in the master hand knitter
Oh, fun.
course. So
Oh,
I can
did you
get a
send
little
it?
bit
You'll get
further
a lot out of
there,
it.
but I'm thrilled.
I
Did
have
you
a
do it?
finished one here.
Oh, pull it back a little
Yeah.
bit. It's blurry.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Oh,
cute.
beautiful. Very nice.
came out quite nice. Yeah, there it
Oh,
is.
that's cute.
I did not make the sleeves quite as long as they said they should be because they just looked too long. I think the ratio of the length of arms of a tiny baby is different from an adult.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Their arms are shorter in proportion to their body.
Yeah, and the heads are bigger.
That's-
Yeah.
Yeah, heads are big.
So is that a crew neck or a V-neck?
It's a crew neck.
It's a
I
crew
just
neck?
did the pattern exactly as written.
Oh, okay.
That's the sample baby pattern on the website.
Yeah,
that
the
she did.
sample baby pattern that's
Oh,
on
okay.
Phrancko's site. And I didn't make any alterations. Except for the sleeve length.
And then on your Phrancko sweater, Phrancko, what, as your back, I've probably made 3 or 4 different V-neck sweaters. That bind off makes the most comfortable V-neck that I've ever worn.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm really like, I can't say how happy I am about that.
It's worth all the extra effort, isn't it?
And I'm pretty fast at it now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, once you get started, you can't stop.
And then it becomes
right,
easier
'cause you stop,
done than
can't figure out-
said.
If you stop, you can't figure out how to start.
That's right.
Now that I was pretty good at. I actually got that pretty good.
Oh,
I
good.
used to be just a sock knitter. So Kitchener, I got down
Yeah.
Oh.
back and forward.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I started studying Kitchener back when people were doing pussy hats for the Women's March.
Oh, yeah.
And I did pussy hats for my entire family. and the pattern I was using just it was basically a tube, and then when you reach the top, you Kitchenered across the top.
Oh, that's a long Kitchener.
Yeah, and so I got really good at doing Kitchener between the 2 different fabrics. Somewhere along the line, I learned that I also knew that you could do a tubular bind off by doing a few rows of double knitting, and then you do the Kitchener bind off as if it was 2 different front and back, because it's double. But there's also a way to do that on one needle. And I don't know where I didn't invent this idea. Someone said, you don't even have to do the rows of double knitting. You can just do the final thing as though you had done those 2 double rows. And that's what it came down to. And then I found out that it's a named bind off. It goes by at least 3 different names. I think you called it the Italian bind off. Is
Yeah,
that
that's
right?
one of them.
Yeah.
That's one of them. And then I was calling it the Kitchener bind off. And when I went to publish the sweater the first time that used it, the tech editor said, we prefer to call that the invisible ribbed bind off. I said, okay, fine. And so I think I put both names in the pattern. And I have a video that shows how to do it, and it's linked in the pattern.
Yeah, I
he-
followed your video. You're the one who taught me.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
The tubular bind off makes an actual tube.
That's right. It makes an actual tube.
Like put elastic or drawstring or something through
That's
it.
right.
Which I just put in the last pair of socks that I just finished. They're in the wash.
You
And
did
they'll have an
tubular
elaster
bind off?
again. That it, because of you, Phrancko, it moved into the socks. Very
Oh,
pink
I
knit,
see.
as a flexi flip sock she did, and I put a tubular bind off in the cuff.
Sockmatician, Nathan, the sockmatician.
Oh, he's fun. I have his.
Yeah,
thing.
he actually, that's the first time I ever saw it and used it, was with Nathan.
Oh,
Pretty amazing, because it's double knitting. He has double knitting.
I see.
Oh, I didn't do his double knitting. I've done his socks, but not double knit sock.
He's double knitter. He's a double knitter.
Oh, he's a big double knitter
Yeah,
and fun, little crazy.
yes, he is.
So here is the sweater I went to get.
Oh, that is
Nice.
beautiful,
Oh.
Frank.
You can recognize the caduceus. I didn't know that name until my husband told me what it was, but it is the medical symbol. And I've always been fascinated with Alpine style twisted stitch, traveling stitch, whatever you want to call it.
Uh-huh.
And so I created that myself.
It's
And
beautiful.
then I generated the 2 cables. And if you look, they represent the DNA strand.
It's so cool.
So
Wow,
it's,
I'm impressed.
Scientific. It's a scientific doctor's sweater.
It was the first sweater I saw Phrancko in. The first time I saw Frank, the day we met, that's what he was wearing. And my nephew was like, "There's this guy. We were in a class together. You got to see his sweater."
That was an example of me borrowing back a sweater I've knitted for my husband because I'm going to Stitches West and I want to be able to wear all the different sweaters I've done and let people see them. And so that's what was happening there. It's not my sweater. I was just borrowing it. So I did 2 of them. That was one of them. I think this is the one whose picture was actually published in Cast On.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So question, when you charted the cables, did you chart them on a computer program or did you do it on knitter's graph paper?
I did it on a computer program and I don't remember which one it was because I tried several before I finally ended up using Stitch Fiddle online all the time.
Okay,
So if I did it again, I would do it in Stitch Fiddle.
okay, thank you.
It's just so much easier to do with a computer than drawing and erasing and drawing and erasing, you know. Do you know stitchfiddle.com? Have you ever used it, Sumner?
I
No.
have. I have.
Jackie has? Okay.
I
Anybody
have
else
too.
have?
Pretty good. I just use the free, I think there's 2 that one's free and one you can pay, and I don't know, it's just bigger.
So,
The lace chart in the pattern I sent Cindy today was generated on Stitch Fiddle.
Ah, see? Yeah.
okay. And so if you took something from Stitch Fiddle, would you then be able to go to Kathy's website? And
Probably.
Yeah, Sumner, you can take it from anywhere and import it and use it that way. Or I actually copied some of the stuff that Stitch Fiddle did and changed some of the things I didn't like so much. And so I have also a stitch charting mechanism.
Oh, what's it called?
It's on NitWiz.
Oh, okay.
And it just says charts and you go there and you can create charts. But I have to look at it again because I'm not sure it has all the bells and whistles that I want at this point. But I haven't looked at it in a little while because I've been working on these other things. So, but I'm open to suggestions if anybody wants something.
So you're a computer programmer?
Mhm. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Wow,
she's an excellent computer programmer. I have to say.
great.
I have to say, though, I'm going to be put on a new project next month. And so now I need to learn Java. So that might eat into my time.
Mm.
So, but only 2, I was going to retire in February. And then last week we weren't here because I went and bought an Oriental rug. We just had this old hand-me-down. So that was enough money that I thought, okay, well, maybe I won't be retiring in February.
Because you bought an Oriental rug. That's a riot.
I don't know.
I got an Oriental rug instead.
We'll see. We'll see. Well, it was actually made in Afghanistan by the Turkoman tribe, and things are not looking good for that tribe. So I thought that would be a nice thing to get. So plus, I think it's gorgeous. I loved it. I love tribal rugs the most. They're my favorites. Anyway,
Wow.
yeah. So now I have to go back and learn another language, and
What do you generally work in?
eats into my NitWiz time, huh?
What do you generally work in?
Oh, well, right now it's so NitWiz is written. Frank knows this already. It's written in a language called Elixir on the back end, which is a functional programming language, and it actually is derived from the same language that has been used since the 70s for telephone switching. When they got rid of party lines, this is why they were able to get rid of party lines.
yeah, I'm a telecom guy.
Are you really?
Yeah,
So it's written.
I work for Verizon.
Oh my gosh! Well, yeah, it's a takeoff on Erlang, which is
Okay,
used for telephone switches.
wild.
Same compiler.
I
Then
was on the group, speaking of party line, something so obscure. I was on a group that just 2 years ago finally disconnected the last party lines
Oh,
Oh my gosh, really?
just 2 years ago.
Just
you
years?
fun. You could
Didn't
listen.
have
in.
internet on a party line, and if you didn't need internet on your phone line, you had a party line if you were the fourth in the chain.
Mm.
Oh my
There were
God.
thousands of them on the East Coast, tens of thousands of them.
Wow.
Yeah,
Huh.
crazy, right? Who would have thought? Anyway,
Yeah.
we totally went off track there.
Pillow Talk is one of my favorite films.
Well, while we're off track, here's a little telephone trivia. When I was living in Maine in the first half of the 70s, there was a town called Bethel, Maine, which was the last town in the entire United States that still had hand cranked phones where you picked up the receiver and cranked the dial and spoke to the local switchboard operator and told who you wanted to call,
Wow.
Yeah.
who you wanted to talk to. And they ended that service in Bethel, Maine in the early 70s.
Oh.
Yeah, that's something.
I have one of those phones downstairs. It belonged to my great aunt. And so she gave it to my mom and my mom gave it to me. The kids like to come over and crank it.
That's fun.
Wonder if those are worth something these days.
Not as much as you would hope.
Yeah.
There's surprisingly a lot still in the marketplace.
Hmm.
Yeah,
An old phone too,
Yeah.
but mine doesn't have any crank on it, but it doesn't have any dial either, so I'm not sure how it worked. I think it's dated 1914.
oh wow.
Oh.
You know, an old wall phone. It has a little table for putting your notepad on built into it. You can sign, you know, write something.
Oh, isn't that fun?
And yeah, but I don't know if you just picked it up, if the operator automatically knew you had picked it up, because there's nothing to crank.
Well, the time there's only one other person in town you would call, so it would just the two of you, like a walkie-talkie.
When I grew up, you would pick up the phone and you would hit the switch hook and the operator would pick up.
Oh,
So you just
Oh.
like hit
Yeah,
the
that
switch
must
hook.
be how mine works.
Yeah, you just hit the switch hook because even though I mean I'm 55 this year, but in the North Shore of Boston in the early 70s, you only needed to dial 4 digits to make a call inside of your town.
4, wow.
Yeah, you didn't need
I lived where you
like
only
all
needed
that.
5 in Ellensburg, Washington.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. My goodness.
yeah.
Yeah, just hit the switch hook. That'll do it.
So who would like to share their progress? Getting back on subject here. Would
I'll go
anybody
for
like to
mine.
show us their progress they're making on a sweater?
I'll show mine.
All right.
This is it. This is all I've done. It's upside down, the right side up. Anyway,
No, oh, I see. Yes, that's the front and the beginning of the sleeve caps and the back.
yep. And I had to wait till I had the because I'm doing it with KnitWiz so I can check, you know.
Oh,
So I
right.
wanted to get the V-neck part done so I could work the V-neck along. And and so now I'm ready, but it's been sitting here for a week waiting for me to finish that. So,
I
yeah,
started mine. They don't know, it's blue, so dark.
Just a minute. Who's speaking?
Jackie.
Jackie, I don't see you. Just a minute. I had to find you.
I'm there.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Okay.
Let me spotlight you. And
Oh.
now, yes, hold it
It
up.
looks black, but it's not.
It's not. What color is it?
It's called My Old Blue Jeans,
Oh,
and it's Woolmies. Well, I don't know if you can see it because it is dark.
Very dark. Is that the V-neck?
It's the tab front, and I'm making it as a cardigan.
Oh, the Henley. I see.
The Henley, yes,
Yeah.
that's right. So
Nice. What's your gauge?
my gauge is 5 stitches per inch and 8 rows.
And 8 rows, 5 and 8. That's fairly typical. Yeah.
Yeah. And I won these needles. These are actually gold needles, Addies, when we were at Stitches West. And you know how they pull your name and whatever.
Yes.
These were like $100 for one needle. So I was
cannot
lucky I
believe
got
it.
one. Yeah.
Yesterday
what?
was my birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. I
You don't-
turned 76. And we had a dinner at a restaurant with my family. It was just delightful. And my husband gave me a gift. And believe it or not, it was gold needles. I've never heard of them before. And
Ah!
you mentioned them. What? So I wasn't going to say that because I thought that seemed like pretty extravagant gift, but
They're wonderful to knit with.
are they really?
Yes. Yes. I
Well, they
love
better
them.
be.
Yeah. Well, I didn't pay for them, so I looked them up on Addie. They don't sell them anymore.
Uh,
But,
I got
yeah.
my sweater off the middle of a row so you can have a better look at the way it's open.
there you go.
Oh, wow.
Oh, look.
Very
Sure.
nice.
And so that started with the V-neck and you just didn't close the neck. Is that
Yeah,
right?
let me see if I can unroll it a little.
Go at the end.
I like the stripes. The colors are beautiful.
Other colors.
And it's reverse.
And you're doing
reverse stockinette.
stockinette, huh?
See, there's the top shoulder seam.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
it's just one every 14 rows I change out this cotton lamb's wool, and then this is a series of mini skeins that all coordinated that I just balled up into one big ball.
Oh,
And I let these change color whenever they end because you'll never see it. It's all marled. These I
He's
change every
knitting
14
them together. In case you didn't quite get that.
putting them together. At a 20/28 gauge, pretty standard. So when I change every 14 rows, like when I change this yarn, I know I've knit another 2 inches on the thing. So I can feel like I'm making progress. Tim, the other guy who works here in the shop with me, when we were on our way here this morning, he said, "Wow, you're really making progress on that." I was like, "Thank God," because it doesn't feel like it. I'm so glad you see it because I feel like I've done something terrible to myself. All the fun Phrancko stuff is done. Now I'm just knitting what feels like 50 square feet of stockinette because I am a giant.
Well, that's the mindless part. See, you can do that in front of TV or whatever.
I
Watch
do it in
YouTube
cars.
videos. That's what I do. I knit all day watching YouTube videos.
I listen to audiobooks and podcasts.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I love the way it's looking. I love the way the I had to fiddle with the increases here because a lot of them just did not look good with the purl side facing.
Oh,
If you use make ones, it makes 2 very distinct ridges right here.
well, didn't you want to use make one purl since you're on the stockinette?
It pulls it creates a gutter.
It
Oh.
does. Oh,
So what did you do?
I did an increase you can really only do while working with multiple strand, like marling yarns, which is knit through one strand and then knit through the other strand.
oh, what an interesting increase.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great. Yeah.
I tried a lot of things.
I never heard of that before.
That's a
I
great
never had
idea.
either.
You learned it here.
Necessity. Let's see if you can see it on the right side. So it's sort of like a mutant lifted increase. Can you see?
Oh, yeah, you can see it there.
You can
Yeah,
see
a
that
little bit.
something's happening anyway.
Right.
So that was the increase. I just split the strands, purled one and purled the other, and then enough there are enough increases stacked on one another that it maintains enough tension on the fabric. It didn't gap open, which I was afraid of at first, but swatching told me it would be okay. And then it was okay.
Oh, that's great.
So now stockinette. And then maybe in a month, I'll be putting on like the shawl collar and I'll be very happy. And then you'll hear me crap about the sleeves. That's my plan.
It'll go faster than that.
Yeah. Shawl collar, I'll be like, this is so much fun. I'm doing short rows. And then I'll be making sleeves and like chewing on the furniture. I love it. That's the one disadvantage to the Phrancko sweater with its top-down nature. You've done all the interesting parts too early.
Oh dear.
Yeah, unless you're doing a fancy
Complication to the
pattern.
sleeves or something.
But see, you can look at the other ones I've knit. It's the one that had the stranded knitting below the armpit. So the one, that child sweater that has the lace under the underarm. That's what I get like, okay, no more stockinette. Something's got to happen. But I'm committed to making myself one sweater I will actually wear sometime.
So Ron, you run a yarn shop, right?
It seems that way some days.
I have a question about sweaters and yarn.
Please.
And this is something I heard from another designer, and I don't know if I agree with him, but he said actually it was Rick from Stitches West.
Uh-huh.
And he said you shouldn't try to use a sport weight yarn for a sweater. You should just use DK and up. So I don't know if I agree. I'm doing a sport weight and we'll find out.
My knitting philosophy in general is you should probably use what you want to be using. You know, there's no reason not, and we live somewhere sweltering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you want
fingering.
If you want something to wear more than 2 days out of the year,
Yeah.
And sport weight yarns are very versatile, and they were introduced to the market to be versatile because before their introduction, all yarns were very, very fine, except for some like regional Aran weight yarns. But when sport weight yarns were introduced, they're called sport weight because you're meant to have a heavier cardigan to wear when you're out rook shooting or tramping around in the fog. Sport weight sweaters were meant to be the heavyweight jumpers.
Did he
really?
explain why he thought that was the case? Because I've been toying with the idea of doing a sport weight yarn sweater myself.
Because he said that when it doesn't have enough body, he thought, for
I
a
see.
sweater.
Uh-huh.
I think
But I don't know, because I also live, Boulder's not sweltering. Boulder's more like Nirvana, actually, except for just a few days out of the year.
And
But
smells
it's
like Teen
sunny, so even in the winter, it's you don't want to wear anything heavy. You don't, it's just too hot.
Very
I
Spirit.
use fingering a lot for my sweaters, and I use a size 4.
Yeah.
Because I live in Bakersfield and it's 109 right now.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 112. So I can't use the heavyweight stuff.
If you're ever going to wear a sweater, you have to make a light one in Bakersfield.
Yes.
And
I
you
live in
like the way
Florida
they,
and I made sport weight sweaters and they came out fine.
Fine.
Yeah,
yeah,
I did a
I like the
sport weight.
fabric here. It's kind of,
Yeah.
this is traveling yarn, by the way, Ron. She's out of Phoenix and she does the most amazing dyes.
Pretty.
So anyhow,
But no, I think
I really like the feel of it.
the fact that yarn that weight was created to be a warmer jumper
Yeah,
kind
that's
of tells you that. And then double knitting is called double knitting because you can make a sweater twice as fast. I mean,
And
yeah.
there's a reason we call all these things what they're called, right? Except for fingering, that's nonsense. But sport weight, it's for when you go out in the morning damp, and DK is so that your knitting gets done faster.
Right.
To many of
That's
those
right.
knitters, it would have been super bulky yarn today. I think that is someone, sometimes your personal preferences disguise themselves as best practices.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought, well, I don't know if I agree, so I thought I'd try it and see.
And you can tell you like the fabric already, right?
Yeah, I like the feel. I mean, and of course it's not, it's wool and silk and cashmere, I think.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be nice and soft.
I rule in favor of Kathy.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see what it looks like when I get it finished, huh?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I've got mine that I started yesterday.
Oh, great.
There you go.
So
Oh, I like that yarn.
That is a beautiful gray. Is it gray? Or
it is gray. It's
beautiful?
from Stunning Strings.
Yeah. It's like that platinum kind of color.
Yeah. And then this is going to be the complementary color.
Ah,
Oh, hold those up together. Oh, yeah. How nice.
So it's my daughter's favorite colors.
Oh,
My old high school colors. Right.
Rana listening in, or just Rana was looking at some yarn.
Hello,
Have you been swatching?
I'm almost finished. I did 2 swatches
Oh,
and I'm almost finished now. I'll block it tonight.
are you
and,
liking it?
Pardon me?
Are you liking the fabric? Is it turning out well?
The belly band says use a 4, so I did a swatch in 4. I'm now doing 1 in 6,
Yeah,
and it's much better.
I would think so, yeah.
4 was just much too tight. The
Mhm.
only thing that I'm a little concerned about with it is there doesn't seem to be any drape.
Oh.
It's too soft.
Hold tight, and I will grab my big swatch of that yarn.
Okay.
We'll take a look. We were talking over, I don't have like spy bots on you guys to know what you're doing, but she was emailing me, so I know what yarn she's using.
The yarn is Love Addict, and it's like butter when you're knitting it. It's just lovely.
what fibers is it?
Wool. It's a blend of wool and nylon, I believe.
Ooh.
Makes beautiful shawls. And it's not plied, it's like a chain almost.
Yeah, this is it.
oh, I know what you're talking about.
Can you see it?
Yep.
This is my swatch of it, and this is knit on a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is knit on a 5. Yep, I put knots in the tail so I can remember.
Yeah, I do too.
And it's got a fairly good drape once the swatch is long,
Mm-hmm.
but it is quite dense feeling in the stock.
Yeah.
You guys see the chain?
Well, the 4 seemed to be so tight. That's why I went to a 6 for the second swatch on it. I think once it's blocked, it will have a better drape.
And see, it because of the chainette construction, even though this is fairly dense, it's quite stretchy.
Yeah.
It's because of all the extra energy swooped up when they ply a yarn like this, when they chain ply it. It
Yeah.
makes a very bouncy fabric.
Yeah, it's really lovely. So anyway, when I get the gauge, then we can go from there. And
So,
along that line,
on here so I could ask. I wanted to know how it was coming along.
it's coming. My first Phrancko sweater that I finished several weeks ago, I'm not happy with. And I'm kind of happy, but not completely. I think I'm going to rip out from the waist down because I think I want to make it more of an A line like Susan was talking about this morning. The neck is what bugs me the most. It's too high, right under the chin. It really comes up there and it's not comfortable.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So I'm guessing on my next one, maybe have to go to a V-neck or something to take care of that. I don't know. And the other thing, as long as I'm on a rant, the other thing is when you do the cable cast on for around the neck, the very beginning of the sweater, that creates quite a bulk inside.
Yes, I guess that's true.
Because
Do you
I
think
was,
it would be a little less if you'd used a knitted cast on instead of a cable cast on?
I'm sure it would, but even would that be enough? Now, Suzanne was talking this morning about doing a provisional for the whole neck.
Right.
Can you talk a little more about that?
I have listened to Fatima describe that over and over, and I think Suzanne understood it better than I did. She was doing saddle shoulder for one thing, so
Right.
it makes sense that she could do provisional across the shoulders, and she could do provisional across the bottom of the neck. But what about the steps? I don't know. Maybe you can do provisional ones there. I guess so.
The front right under the chin needs to be deeper
Yes.
because that's the part.
It-
And you
it
had talked
really-
a couple of weeks ago. Excuse me,
Yes.
go ahead.
I don't believe it would be hard for you to modify the pattern. It is hard for me to modify the program. However, I looked into it, and the crew neck sweater always finishes the neck shaping either before or on the first row that the sleeve caps begin.
Right.
So the crew neck is short enough so that you always finish it or almost finish it when you start the sleeve caps. In order to make the crew neck sweater deeper, I have to modify a lot of the program to say, okay, while you are finishing the shaping here, start the sleeve caps. Well, several others already do that, but when I went and looked to see how to change the crew neck, it just got very complicated for some reason. And I would continue working on that, but somebody else reported a problem with the Henley sweater. And so I spent an entire day programming the solution to that. And right now, Cindy is tech editing the change before I put it on the live website.
Busy woman.
And she's come up with a few suggestions for changes, and Ron raised a question the other day, and I think I guess it was just yesterday. He said several people have come into the store because they don't know whether to knit the increase rounds on the sleeve caps that are described when they're first described. And the answer to that is no, you do not knit those one or two instructions. They're there to tell you how to do the increases in the next section when you do the increases. Because in the section it says do an increase round every other row. It doesn't tell you how to do that increase round, and those are the instructions that tell you how. So I'm also going to make a change to the description of those two lines so people will know not to knit them, but just use them as instructional for what follows after that.
Okay.
That's what I did. I
That's
changed
the
it to
change you
just
made?
say as follows, colon.
I was gonna say, maybe you could color code it, like if it's just part of the pattern, that you just want them to know. Just like
Yes.
put it in green or something. This is just your information. It's
All
not
right.
part of the pattern.
Well, I've used boxes before for this kind of thing, so I also thought about putting a box around.
That would be
There-
good.
there's a construction note that describes what's going to happen and says, do these at the same time, I think. And then there are the two lines that say, here's how to do the increases. And that's really supposed to be all part of the same note. So if it was a construction note, I think you wouldn't think you were supposed to work those two. And
I've noticed a lot of like mass market European patterns still do the thing where the pattern stitches are listed towards the beginning or maybe in the appendix of a pattern. And it will just be like knit 15 rows or 15 repeats of such and such block pattern.
oh,
But the instructions for that are down here and you have to plug it in.
Yeah.
I
But
see.
even American mass market patterns have stopped doing that a long time ago in magazines, many of them. And so I think it's hard for some knitters, like they've never seen instructions happen when you're not being told to do them at that moment. But the ladies who have come in to ask about it, generally their intuition was that they were not supposed to make it. They just wanted someone to tell them they were right. And I was handy. So I don't know how much of a stumper it is for people, but I know I've heard it more than once.
I
Hi,
would
Carolyn.
second the suggestion about making that crew neck lower. On my baby sweater, it's very difficult to tell the front from the back. You have to
That is
really
true.
look
I-
close to see which is which.
I either put a label in the back of my
That's
sweater,
what I did, put one of my
Or-
labels.
or I look for there on the front. There are two lines of stitches that line the diagonal
Yeah.
part. It's very short, but they're there. And that's the other way to tell the front from the back. But you're right. Otherwise, you've got to carefully find each of the seams, hold it up and see.
Been there, done
I have
that.
put my sweater on backwards more than once, trust me. Yeah, I think the crew neck sweater could be deeper in the front. So
Yeah, I would
will
like
continue
better,
to work on that.
but I can certainly understand the complexity of changing it
Oh,
that you
yes.
speak of. I understand that totally.
Yeah, that crew neck was the first one I did, and I was really hoping that you would never have to do the neck shaping and the sleeve cap shaping at the same time.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
if
always
you say,
confusing.
meanwhile, do this, or do these two things at the same time. Some people will just say, oh, I can't do that. You
Yeah.
know, and it's considered much, much harder for some reason. But actually, if you just take notes on your pattern of what you need to do when on which row, and I don't know.
So
ways
is
to-
the alternative to maybe do a V-neck?
The V-neck will have you do the two at the same time. And I just tackled that problem for the V-neck and the Henley.
But that'll solve the problem that I'm having of it being too close to the chin.
Yes. Oh, yes. Of course, the V-neck will be deeper. It is deeper.
You know, the simplest solution might be to add 2 or 3 inches to the neck width, delete the word crew neck and write the word boat neck.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Except I would never knit a boat neck sweater for myself.
Okay.
You ladies like them.
Yes, I know. That's the modification you can make to the pattern.
It's nautical, right?
Yeah.
And then instructions for putting on a little sailor suit antimacassar. Very cute.
Oh, look at the time. It crept up on us. It's 3:31.
Yeah, time for my dinner. Here in Florida, you know, it's 6:30.
All right, bye, everyone. If anyone else wants the test copy of this, I'm happy to send it to anyone who's here just as a fun bonus for being a Phrancko knitter. My email is in the chat, but it's just the test pattern for the child's tunic. I'm happy to send that to any of you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
So be sure and get that out of the chat before I close the window.
And thanks again, Phrancko.
Thank you all for coming. It's always a delight to be spending time with you. And so,
Thanks, Frank.
Mary, I didn't get to speak with you today. I really appreciate seeing you again. So everybody, bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.